Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Back to Me podcast. This is Heather. And this week, oh my goodness, get ready for this. I am talking to Naomi Harris, who is a pelvic floor and sexual health naturopath. And she's helping get us past this weird feeling that it's something, pleasure isn't something that we should be doing and isn't something we should talk about. And if you're ready for it, dive in and have a listen and let me know what you think. Take care, my friend. Have a great day. Hi, my friends. Welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is Heather, and I am super excited that you're here. You are going to hear some tips and some tricks and some ideas to help you live your happiest and healthiest self. I call it Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, back to me, then you can take better care of others, and we can all make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way, and I am super happy that you're here. Hello, my friend. This is Heather. This is the Back to Me podcast. Welcome. I'm so happy and excited that you are here and joining and partaking of the wisdom of all these awesome humans that I get to talk to. And today, of course, no exception, another awesome human. This is Naomi Harris. And Naomi is a sexual, and I'm going to say it, pelvic pain specialist. What? This show is not for children.
This show probably won't be for children. I think you're onto something there. Hello,
right?
Heather. Hello, everybody.
I know. I actually do have to mark it on YouTube that it's not for children.
Yes.
So
yes, we will be maybe fine. Using the S word.
We might use so many words. But I mean, that's fine because kids can, their parents can tell them later when they're old enough, right?
Yes.
Naomi, thank you so much for joining me. It's
thank
so
you,
nice to see you. And just before we started, I said the first thing I always ask people, and of course my listeners know this at this point, how the heck do you become a pelvic pain specialist?
I know.
When did that even become a thing?
Of all the things to become is a female body pelvic pain specialist. Yes.
Right.
So I think for me, it began much like so many people's do. I had my own personal experiences that required transformation. And then it grew from there. And I think I was in the fortunate position. So I'm a naturopath, which not everybody always knows what a naturopath is. It's sort of like an alternative practitioner. And I've been a naturopath for around 15 years. So when my own personal healing, sexuality, unfolding, blossoming, whatever you want to call it, began, I was already working in the health field and I was already supporting people. So in a way, I was fortunate because I got to do my own work and see the power of that while also understanding the human body and understanding what it takes in order to heal. And then those two things intersected so amazingly powerfully and beautifully. And that's what took me down this path of female bodies, pain, sexuality, pleasure, and all the things.
I had forgotten until you just said that you were also a naturopath.
Yeah.
So you do have that extra little bit of juju on understanding how bodies are working and when things aren't working. And I can remember my naturopath at one point drawing me the cascade of, because I'm a science geek, he knew that he could do this. Of you need this to make this. We were talking hormones. This to make this, to make this, to make this, to make this. And I was like, what? Well, which one is missing?
And that's the great mystery. There you go.
Right? It's one of those guys in the chain is not working right. Who is it?
Yeah.
And do you find that you combine that kind of knowledge of there must be some combination going on there of the naturopath side and the...
There is. And I think, it's one of those things when we've been working in a way and understanding the body or the world in a way for so long, it just becomes a natural thing to do. So I think the way that I look at the human body and I look at healing and what's possible for the human body is quite different from the way that most people would experience something like a female having ongoing chronic pelvic pain that's interfering with her everyday life and her sexual life. And I'm I'm creating all the time, but I'm really like creating and sitting and considering the way that I work and what it is that I do that works, because I've found something. I found some secret sauce that really works. And I think it is breaking this down in a way that other naturopaths will go, yeah, I understand what you're talking about. You've just taken that extra little spin and taken a step into sexuality and into the human body, and a deeper understanding of the impact of sexuality and trauma on the human body and on pain and chronic pain, and how those two things all those many things all come together.
Secret sauce.
Secrets.
I'm like, what is it? Of course, as soon as you tell someone there's a secret, what's the first thing they want to know? They want to know the secret. Oh my goodness. And I was just thinking when you were talking, it is like we're not supposed to be in pain.
No.
And, we are built for pleasure.
We
I
are.
mean, we're super. I've been listening to Abraham Hicks lately. It's like, you're moving away. If people don't know who that is, Google it, because it would be a long explanation. Your design. You came here for joy and pleasure and happiness, and if that's not happening, something's not working right.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
And
it.
I guess for a lot of people, do you find a lot of people just don't know that they don't have to be that way, or they're just too embarrassed to go and find out what to do about it?
Yeah, I mean, you've nailed one of the pieces with the embarrassment, because there's something, like I sit here because I talk about this all day, every day. I'm now just like, it's all vaginas, it's all vulvas, all the time. It's my jam. I'm so relaxed. I can talk it all. Nothing phases me. But I'm really aware that that's not normal for most people out there. And, if you had, for example, a chronic knee problem, you'd go and have your knee looked at and you'd get it sorted out and you do what needs to be done. But so many women are sitting with these pain conditions that are really debilitating and really affecting every aspect of their lives and their sense of self. But there's so much shame around it that it just doesn't get spoken. Or I think also, I mean, it's so complicated and so, there's so many aspects to it. But for example, as women, we're taught that sex is supposed to hurt the first time. I mean, I'm assuming that you were also taught this, because we're all taught this, but that's actually not true. But it
Oh,
sets up this idea of, oh, well, then when I have sex and it hurts, oh, that's normal and that's what's supposed to be happening. And then when it continues to happen, there isn't a thought of, maybe this isn't what's supposed to be happening. There's a thought of, this is really shameful. I can't talk about it. I have to push it down and hide it. And then
I
it's
did
20 years
something wrong.
later, like there's something wrong with me, rather
Yeah.
than going, maybe there was something wrong with what I was taught, and something wrong with the support that I was receiving, and honestly, something wrong with the sexual experiences that I've been having. And that's what's actually creating this. And it's not a sign that there's something wrong with me personally. But the other problem, of course, then is also that our medical profession is so dramatically undereducated and undersupported in these areas that most days don't go by that I'd hear the story of, oh, yeah, they told me to go home and have a glass of wine and relax. It's just like the standard response. Or just tell your body to relax, or go and have a baby because that will force your pelvic floor to open. Or it's like, list all of the things that you just don't want to hear when you've got chronic pain, and they all get said over and over again to women.
Those are such crazy things to say to someone.
Such
I
crazy
mean,
things.
it's like you can't tell someone, oh, you just need to relax.
Yeah.
Well, if I could, I would, wouldn't I?
Right. And if it was my knee, back to the sore knee, if I had a really sore, swollen knee, you wouldn't say, oh, just relax. Just
Have
walk
a glass of
slower.
wine, put your
Have
leg
a
up.
glass of wine, you'll be fine. And yet it's like the norm. It's completely normal for women to be coming up against this all the time.
Wow. And it is so true. I can remember because, your girlfriends will tell you, oh, this is what happens. And of
Yeah.
course, your girlfriends, when you're young, know everything
Yep.
because.
Yep.
And yes, those conversations, oh my gosh, I had totally forgotten about them until you said that.
Yeah. Right.
Oh
And
my
just that
goodness.
expectation that it's going to be terrible, rather than going, what can we do to support our young females so that it can be wonderful? And that's going to set them up Because those
Right?
first sexual experiences do actually matter, because they imprint the body with what to expect. And then
Wow.
when they're traumatic or painful or just not good, that's what the body is then kind of like, the nervous system's wired to expect that. And then you have to do the hard work to uneducate, rather than doing the hard work beforehand to educate into pleasure and beauty and wonderfulness, which would be
Right?
so much the preferred method if it was up to me.
If Naomi ruled the world,
Right, things would
this
be
is what would
very
happen.
different.
Can you imagine? I can remember health in school,
Oh,
health class, and
yeah,
it was very clinical.
yes,
This
yes,
is how, this is what it does.
yeah,
This is what it does.
yeah,
So you don't really, it's almost like you're detached from it, you know,
yeah. And it's
which,
also not just clinical, it's also educated in fear, because if you do this, you're going to get pregnant or you're going to get STDs and your life's going to be over. Like, everything will be finished, rather than going, let's talk about that as well. Like, let's nut this out, because as a young person, sex is actually just part of being a teenager into you. Like, it's just part of the personal expression and the understanding of your own body. And so going, don't do it, or clinically slot B goes into tab A, or vice versa, or watch out, you're going to get pregnant, or some kind of horrendous disease. It's not helpful at all for the long
well,
term.
and just going back to your secret sauce, as soon as you tell a teenager they can't do something, what are they
Oh,
going to do?
oh, exactly. I mean, we were all teenagers. We remember.
Mom, I'm sorry.
It's true. It's true. I confessed to my mum a long time ago, so nothing will shock her.
Right? Oh my goodness. We were such a little troublemaker. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Stubborn as all get out. I'm still
Yeah.
stubborn,
Yeah.
but I come by that honestly. It's true. I mean, this is so funny that we're talking, because I was at a networking meeting, a live one, can you imagine, one day
Hmm.
recently, and there was a pelvic health coach there,
Right.
and I was like, whoa, she's just like, psh, there it is. Like,
Yeah.
talking at networking meetings in a bar about
Uh-huh.
pelvic stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
this woman is on. She knows what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was interesting because she opened the door. How many people wanted to have a conversation with her?
Of course.
And so many things came up.
Yeah.
And, you know, as at some point there was like 4 or 5 people that were all standing around with her having this
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
because it suddenly became like, oh, we can talk about this. Okay, well, let me tell you what happened, right?
Yes. Yes. I
So,
have those conversations all the time, and then people are like, oh, I've been holding this for 20 years. Can I? And I'm like, of course you can. Let's talk it. I love it. Talk it all. Yes.
and I guess, how common is it now? Like, I met one at here in Canada. Where are you now? Where you?
And I'm in Northern Europe.
I know you're moving around a little
I
bit.
am moving
So,
around. Yes. In Holland at the moment.
whoa, cool!
Yeah.
Wow,
Super
very
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, where do you find these people? Does Dr.
Well,
Google, can Dr. Google help you? And are there, do
you
you
mean
know
in
if there's
terms of
qualifications?
in terms of finding help, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Finding help is difficult. That's the one thing that I'm really aware of, is that there seems to be some. I mean, of course, there are the things that the doctors are told to suggest, and that's the path that they go down. Unfortunately, because it's often quite clinical and medical based, which honestly, our vaginas and our vulvas are not clinical and don't really like medical based. They're a lot more sensitive and delicate than that. It may help. You may be one of the lucky ones that gets helped, but often you're not. And there are things like pelvic floor physiotherapists. They can help a little when you find a good one, like the one at the networking. Sounds like,
Yeah.
she knew what she was talking
That's
about.
all she does.
That's all she does. And so then there are like amazing people out there. But so the statistics are saying that 70% of women at some point in their life will have pain during sex. and up to 40% is chronic and ongoing.
Wow.
And if you
That's a
think about
lot.
that's a lot. If you think about that just realistically in terms of numbers of people, there's not enough help to go around, and there's definitely not enough help that knows what it's doing to go around.
Right.
Yeah.
So, not to make people feel like they're never going to have help, but it's
How
like,
do you, yeah,
how do we, I mean, how do we shift it? How do we make it okay? And because, I mean, we're talking about women today, but I'm sure men have their own struggles.
yes,
It's like
absolutely.
I was in the car yesterday and listening to everything is about making you more virile for the commercials for men, the poor men.
Yes.
I mean, come on,
Yeah.
give the guy a break,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I'm thinking like to make it a conversation that you can have will requires such a shift of thinking and education, and
Yes.
it can feel overwhelming, right?
Yes. It really can. Yes.
If you
One
think you
thing,
have to do it by yourself.
so there are Facebook groups, like a lot of Facebook groups for the specific different conditions for women anyway. I actually, to be honest with you, I haven't looked at how much support men have out there. I imagine it's actually probably even more lacking than what women have.
Probably.
So there are specific Facebook groups, quite large ones with tens of thousands of members, where women are supporting each other with what works and what doesn't work. And then there are specialists, myself, and I recognise a few others popping in and out where we can to make suggestions and offer help.
Right.
And then there are others that, much like myself, have been on their own journey of healing and have gone, I think I've worked out a piece of it, what works, and I'm sharing that with the world, and that is also really useful too. So I really, to be honest with you, Heather, it's one of the things that actually breaks my heart a little bit, because my inbox is constant with women going, what can I do? And at the moment, most of them have somehow found me from Africa and India, where
Oh
there's
wow.
actually nothing. There's
Right.
nothing. There is no help. And so I'm like, I'm one person, and I'm doing what I can and suggesting what I can. But the reality is, if we think about 40% of the population, and there's no help, it is overwhelming and it is heartbreaking. And I'm on a mission to do it, to change it, but step at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You could, like, one person can do a lot,
Yes.
and more than one person can do even more, right?
Exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
you multiply as you gather.
Yeah.
I do, yeah, I know, I understand that, like, there's countries where it's definitely not something where women would get any support.
No, it's
I've
not
been
spoken
to
about.
those countries,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. And it's so taboo. Female sexuality, female bodies, just, it's just all hidden. It's so shameful and taboo. And I understand why the rates of pain with sex are so high in those places, because if you have a body that's viewed as something shameful or something dirty or something dangerous, because of course if there is trauma or if there's abuse happening, having this female body then becomes a dangerous thing. Of course it's going to be a painful experience, and of course it's going to be a hidden experience, and there needs to be a massive shift on so many levels, all areas of the world. I'm not naming any one particular area, it's every culture. I also have women from Eastern Europe reaching out to me because there is no help, and it's
right.
like everywhere. So yeah, there needs to be a profound shift in the ways that we view women and female sexuality. And
Well, even
there's
right now,
amazing
there's parts of
things.
the U.S. that I
Right.
won't name,
Yes.
but you know who you are,
Yes. Yes.
who make
It's
me
true.
worried
Yeah.
about. And
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about, sexual pleasure and pelvic pain, but it does, like, unpacking it goes even further into that, what we're talking about, like
Yeah.
female power and whether it's dangerous or not, and
Yeah.
dogma and
Yeah.
stories that have come down from the ages of wherever you think it came from.
Yeah.
And those are that stuff, just who you want to get me hot under the collar, just start that stuff. Like I said, I'm pretty
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm with you. I'm with you on all of that. Yes, yes. And then seeing that, I do have faith that we're moving forwards, and then every now and then I'm like, oh gosh, we just took 3 steps back. Okay,
We
deep
took like
breath,
decades
decades.
backwards.
Yeah, deep breath, back into the fold. Like, oh, here we go
Oh
again.
my
But
gosh.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, it's like I'm just going to keep my forward, like look for the things I want and
yes,
keep working on the things that I want and that
yeah,
I think are important and
yeah,
bring joy and pleasure and
yes,
happiness and all of
yes,
those things. And everybody is entitled to it.
yeah,
And that's why we're here. So stop taking other people's joy.
yeah,
That's all I'm asking.
yeah. Very nice.
Do you find that a lot of it comes from something um, like, does it come often from an expectation and early experiences, or does sometimes it just come from something that's happening in the body?
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking menopause does weird things to bodies.
Yes.
Don't
Okay.
even
So
get me
menopause
started.
does weird things to body. So yes, just sudden onset pain with like vulval or vaginal pain with menopause can be quite distressing and quite shocking because especially if you've had 40, 50 years without. So that's definitely. So yes, of course there's the hormones, of course there's the there can be physical issues and like structural reasons. I worked with a woman once who she'd fallen off a horse onto her tailbone, and
Oh my
then she
gosh.
had vaginal pain, and they kept on sending her to psychologists. And I was like, you just need to go and get your body adjusted.
Right.
Your body's in spasm. Just it's okay. And she's like, my brain's okay. And I'm like, I know, I know. So there
Just
are
get your
like
tailbone back in place.
right, just get you, yeah. So there are experiences like that. There are, of course, the hormonal ones. But one thing that I'm like, one conversation I'm often having with clients is they say to me, I shouldn't be having this experience. I wasn't sexually abused, or I didn't have sexual trauma or sexual misuse. And I'm like, yes, okay, absolutely. And the way that our bodies respond to life and the way that our bodies understand what is traumatic or misuse is actually quite different from what our brain can understand it to be. So our brain is quite um, linear in a way. It's quite obvious. It's like, well, that thing happened and that shouldn't have happened and that was in this category. But for our bodies, it happens a little bit differently, and it's because of the nervous system. And what happens is, I'm going to give the example that I always use. I use this one, I like it. Is that, say you're an infant and you've got a diaper on and you've just done a poop and you're having the diaper changed. And the diaper comes off and fresh air touches your skin, and the immediate response of the infant, anybody who's had a baby knows that the immediate response is the hands go down to touch what the fresh air just touched. But you're covered in poop. And so for your parents, it's like, oh, no, 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 because we're about to have a situation here. So they may grab your hands and pull them out of the way, and they may give you a no. So to them, it's like, let's not spread poo all over the room. But to the infant brain, it's like, I was just about to touch my genitals, and that triggered a very strong response from the world that that thing that I was about to do was wrong.
Well,
And the nervous system and the body takes that on as a trauma or a misuse unless it can find a way to release that in the moment, unless it's able to cry it out or wriggle it out or do what needs to be done. No, like judgment of parents. Like we've all been there, we've all done it. Nobody wants poopy hands, like
right? You don't
nobody
want that
wants
stuff
poopy. No,
spreading around.
no. But it's just like that understanding that what our bodies are holding and what our bodies are managing. And if we can understand pain and genital pain as a conversation from our body, and it's saying either there's something happening that we need to talk about, or there's something happening that needs to not happen. If we can understand that as a meaning of pain, then you can kind of go, well, these infant experiences all the way up to the first sexual experiences or even younger than that, and also trauma and falling on your coccyx, or if you fall on a fence with your legs on either side, or you get attention that you don't appreciate from people that you don't want the attention, like all of the things that can be held in the body as trauma and can continue to gather and impact. It becomes the thing is that, you know, I'm talking about sexual pain and I'm talking about sexuality and I'm talking about genitals, but the reality is of the healing that happens, the healing piece of it is usually not, often not actually sexual. It's there's trauma being held in this area of the body that needs to be released, or there is misuse that's being held that the nervous system needs to work through and finish up. And then we can move to pleasure, and then we do talk about sex and sexuality and sensuality.
Right.
But to begin with, the healing piece is often not, it's not sexual, and there's often not sex as part of it. But the big fear about it is, oh, I'm going to go down this healing path and I'm going to find out things about my sexual past that I didn't know, or I'm going to be confronted with sexual aspects of myself that I don't want to see, or, you know, like we build up so much story and so much shame around it, when the reality is maybe it was a poopy nappy when you were a baby, and let's help your body heal so that you can actually step into being the sexual person that you wish to be.
And and the thing about stories is they're just stories
Just stories.
that we've made a meaning behind something that happened, even
Exactly.
even if it was not the
Yeah.
best meaning at the time,
Yeah.
right? And I'm thinking about, because I've been teaching yoga now for over 19 years, and
Wow.
I know, it's so crazy. I can't believe it myself when I say it, but like it's like that's just one place where people store trauma. I like
Yeah.
Pigeon is in the yoga world. Like teachers know, in Pigeon, if you're in a big class, guaranteed someone's going to be crying,
Yeah.
and they don't know why usually, and it doesn't matter why. They're because the hips are so great for storing stuff, and you know maybe it's connected, maybe it's not connected to something, but
Yeah.
it's like if you gotta let it out, I always say better out than in.
Better out than
Send
in.
it out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, you just casually pass them my tissue and you just
Yes.
keep
Good.
going.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Stop if you need to. It's all good.
Yeah.
But because emotions are scary for people,
Yes, they are. They really are.
especially if they're not the Pleasantville, everything's fabulous emotion.
That's right.
So
Yes.
I think part of our shift of us saving the world, you know, you and
Yeah.
I, Naomi, we're going to save the world,
Good.
is
It needs
making
it.
it okay, making all the emotions
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
and just letting them, because it's a way to process things. That's how we process, right? We need to have the emotion, look at it, process it, feel it, do it, and then send it on its happy way. And that sometimes people want it to be really fast, and sometimes it's not fast,
No. Nope.
right?
No.
I was
And
talking
the
to a coach
oh
yesterday about that, about how
yeah.
long it took me to process my
Oh
grandfather passing away. Oh my God, it took me so long. But it's like
yeah.
now I'm cool. I did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? What were
It
you going to
takes the
say? Sorry.
time. Yeah, it just takes the time it takes. I was going to say, just coming back to your, you know, you're saying about the hips and the holding and the yoga and the emotions and feeling the emotions, even the ones that we don't want to feel. And the way I talk about it and the way I describe it to my clients is, if you can imagine that we have these emotions, right? We all do it. We're all doing it. We have all these emotions, but we don't want to feel them because we're busy and we don't have time and it's scary and all of the other thousand reasons. So we push them down, and then more come, and then we push them down, and we just keep on pushing down. And the point where we can't push anymore is the pelvic floor and the genitals, and that's where it starts to build up and get lodged. And that's why, like, stretching open those hips, it's like, oh, hello, how long have you been in there? How many layers down deep are you? Where are we excavating to today? And that's the
Right.
same thing with healing genital and sexual pain. It's like, okay. But the beautiful thing about the body is, you know, we talked about making meaning and assigning story to things, is when the body releases and when the body heals, it doesn't need a story. It doesn't actually even need the memory most of the time. It doesn't need the meaning. It just needs the experience of letting it go. And so I think often this fear of, I don't want to feel because I don't want to know what's behind the pain, it doesn't actually matter because you may never know. Again, if it was a nappy incident when you were 3 months old, you're never going to know that, because why would it matter? It doesn't matter. It
You don't
just
even know what a
matters.
nappy is at that point.
Right? A diaper, I'm sorry.
That's
Or a
okay.
diaper, yeah.
I
But,
know, I know. My mom was born in England. I know
oh,
the
there you
words.
go. Yeah. But that's the beautiful thing about just letting the emotions flow, of just going, okay, just what is. I don't need to know. I don't need to understand it. It's scary. Okay, I'm still going to cry and breathe and just see what comes on the other side, the freedom that comes on the other side.
Well, and the other side is so good, right? The
Right.
other side is like you want to be happy, but can you imagine like the other side? You are happy, even happier than you thought you could be,
That's
and
it.
more relaxed,
Yeah.
and whatever it was is finished, right?
Yeah. That's it.
It's like you're carrying a backpack full of rocks. Well, why don't you just put a few rocks down?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Have you heard of
Yeah.
the book The Body Has Its Reasons?
I haven't heard of that one. No, there's a few. There's The Body Keeps the Score, and
Mm.
yes, but I haven't heard of that one. Is it a good one?
That was the first one that I read,
Okay.
probably about 50, maybe 14 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was recommended to me by someone who she was an actress,
Mm-hmm.
and she did very physical roles, and she found it helped her figure out how to be in those roles, and be able to move and not be injured, and when things
Beautiful.
came up,
Mm-hmm.
finding a way, like she said, okay, so the body's doing this because of something that I didn't notice,
Yeah.
so what do I need to pay attention to,
Yeah.
and what's happening, and it could be physical or it could be not physical. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, like I was a massage therapist for 14 years, and what's the most common area where people hold tension is their
Mm-hmm.
shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not because of anything physical they're doing, it's because they're
That's it.
stressed out.
I know. It's true. Yes.
So they didn't say, is something wrong with me because their shoulders were tight?
Right. And there's no shame for the tight shoulders. No.
No, in
It.
fact, there's pride for some people.
Yeah.
I've been working so hard,
Yes.
yes. So,
Yes.
oh my
Yes.
gosh. Oh, some of our old fashioned value systems just have continued to filter down through the ages,
I have.
and they served us at some point for something, but
Yep.
we can let them go, right?
I think so. I think so. And there is a bit of a revival, I know, like, understanding, for example, that women have cycles, and that it's absolutely true that for the first 2 weeks of your cycle after you bleed, you are more introspective, and things are more, sorry, I'm actually going the wrong way around. The first 2 weeks of your cycle, like, you're more doing and you're more out there and you're more getting things done. And then after ovulation, you are more introspective and creative, and things do move slower. And then those days of the bleed, like, really honoring those and slowing down. But how do we do that when we're in a corporate environment, or when we're chasing 3 children around, or, whatever it is that is like really demanding our time and our attention, because of the way that we're set up and our societies are set up? And yeah, there really is room for growth, and there is a resurgence of it, but we need more of it. Lots more.
Yes. We begin the revolution here, friends.
Yes. Yes.
So I know that you have a download, it's a meditation download, right?
Yes, I do. It's just it's a meditation to begin the path of. So one of the things that I really love to talk about is that it's not enough not to just not feel bad. Like, we do need to take those steps towards feeling good, because, like you said at the beginning, like, it is our birthright. We're born in these bodies that are actually designed to feel amazing. So, like, to feel the pleasure of every moment, like putting a piece of fruit in your mouth and actually feeling the pleasure of the taste and the smell and the sensation of it. That's how we're built, but we kind of forget about that. And as women, one of our superpowers is that feeling good and that pleasure is actually one of the tools that we can use to feel. And when we're in massive amounts of pain or chronic pain, or it feels hopeless, it's like, why would I even want to talk about pleasure? Why would pleasure even matter to me right now? Not pain is a whole lot more important. And I'm like,
Right.
I 100% agree with you. Not pain is more important, but pleasure and feeling good, it can actually be one of the tools that you can use to get to a not pain state. So yes, there is a meditation that's for free on my website that takes you just for those first little steps of exploring the possibility that feeling good can actually be a superpower in not feeling bad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's so, and your website is
thepleasurenaturopath.com.
The Pleasure Naturopath. And don't worry, it'll be in the show notes. If you didn't hear it and you don't have a pen and you're driving, don't swerve off the road trying to write this down. I will make sure it's in the show notes and that you can find everything. And they can find all about you there, and they can find more information there. Yes.
Yes, and there's all sorts of resources there. Yes.
Okay, good. Yes. So the go-to spot for the secret sauce on living your life of pleasure. Before you go, Naomi, I always ask people this final question. Do you have any final words of wisdom?
Final words of wisdom. I think my final words of wisdom would be to any women, also any man who is experiencing, any person who's experiencing sexual or pelvic pain, whether it's a new thing or whether it's a long-term and ongoing thing. And what I would say is, don't lose hope. It can be really easy to lose hope because it's such a long and winding road to finding the support you need, to finding the answers that you're looking for. But it's worth taking all of the steps that need to be taken down that road in order to get there. And I can personally swear that healing is possible because I see it over and over again. So no matter what it is that you're experiencing, a life without those symptoms that are really impacting every area of your life is entirely possible. So don't lose hope. Here's my word of wisdom.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yes, don't lose hope in anything, right? In anything. But for sure. Thank you so much, Naomi. It was such a pleasure talking with you, and I'm sure we're going to go out and save the world.
Yes. Fully intend to.
More power.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Thank you. And thank you for my friends out in podcast land. Mm-hmm. Share this. Don't be scared. Share it. Subscribe. Yes. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hi, my friend. Thanks so much for listening to this entire podcast. If you found it useful and you're like me and you like helping others, please feel free to share this. Just give it a like, give it a comment. If you found something useful in it, there's a chance that someone else will find something useful as well. Also, if you have any questions at all, I can absolutely help, and I would love to help. You can email me at heather@prosperityflowcoaching.com. If you want more of this awesome content, you can follow me on Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching. You can follow me on Facebook, Prosperity Flow Coaching. And I have a personal request. I want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. And if you could give me a review, hopefully a good one, if you could share, if you could send this out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope that you find your way to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend.